Yes, I did. Only
I
not.
didn't. I was too gay.
Yeah,
I couldn't do it.
and I was still doing straight.
I think things are looking really, really good and feeling very, very good.
That's right. We're gonna put a drag queen in the White House.
It's the most powerful thing we have that makes us human. That's life, and that's music.
Welcome back to Cityline. With me, I have three individuals who are here to talk about one of Tacoma's most iconic festivals. This festival is near and dear to my heart. I'm talking about the Destiny City Film Festival. So please join me in welcoming Emily Nikita Alm. You are the Destiny City Film Festival founder and executive director. Emily, welcome back to Cityline.
Thank you. Always good to see you.
It's great to see you, my dear. And you brought with you two amazing women, which I expect nothing less from you, Miss Emily. Ambrielle Turrentine, you are the Assistant Director of Marketing and Communication for Destiny City Film Festival. Welcome, Ambrielle. It's good to have you on Cityline.
Thank you. Great to be here.
And this woman rounding out is Lindy Busted. Lindy, you are an amazing director, and you are the director of said In Between, which we'll be talking about and also seeing a clip from. Lindy, welcome to Cityline.
Well, thank you. And that's such kind words for you to say this morning. Thank you.
You're welcome. And they're all true. So Emily, my gosh, you have been doing this now so much that you probably can do it in your sleep, I would imagine. And Emily, talk about with us what new offerings you have this year.
Sure, yeah, this is our 9th year, which is hard to believe. And yes, a lot of it is kind of second nature now, but we always reinvent ourselves every year in some way. And this year we're excited to have a couple in-person movie experiences, which we didn't have last year and, are kind of rare this day and age. And so one we'll be talking about with Lindy, highlighting her film that we'll be showcasing in a bigger event. And we're also really excited to be showing a group of local shorts in person at the Blue Mouse Theater so we can celebrate the local artists here in the Tacoma, Seattle area. And we also have a virtual event, a panel events centered around writing for the horror genre. So I think that'll be really interesting.
Ooh, I love that. I have a set of girlfriends that watched horror movies on Valentine's Day. So it seems to be in the air. So Emily, I know you're asked this a lot, but I'm very curious about how does the Destiny City Film Festival specifically cater to Tacoma audiences? Because I got to tell you, nothing will make me jump up in my seat and do a high five than if I'm watching a film in any setting and I see a shot of Tacoma in it.
Yes, we are a proud bunch, aren't we, in Tacoma? And that's part of it, I think. And a lot of folks in our community care a lot about each other and care about amplifying each other's stories. And so I think we always try and include that in as many ways as possible. And one of those is the local shorts that we'll be doing in person. Just having them in person is such a more exciting experience than streaming them virtually, and so being able to do that in person is exciting. So I think just wanting to show compassion for everyone's stories and encourage folks to learn them and connect with each other. That's kind of the vibe of Tacoma, I think, and the artistic expression is so vibrant here, and so being able to include that in our lineup is always a given, essentially.
Beautifully said, and that leads me to Ambrielle. How do you see art and film as being that catalyst for change that Emily was alluding to?
Yeah, I think art and film, and specifically film, really, it offers it's very unique in its capacity to provide the tools and I guess platforms for community members to represent their own experiences and aspirations in life. So I think that's one way. Of course, we've mentioned that this is a very Tacoma-centric festival. So of course it brings communities together and hopefully it challenges people and asks them to engage in challenging conversations that may lead to advocacy or action or change. And I also think it just can potentially confront head on different types of social and political issues. So yeah, I think film really is a great catalyst for change. And our films in particular definitely speak on that quite a bit.
Oh, I agree. And said so beautifully. Thank you for that point of view. And given your stellar point of view, even though many festivals, even those presented in person like Sundance, have kept an online virtual cinema perspective. In your experience and expertise, Ambrielle, why is that?
Ultimately, I think, again, it goes back to extending your span and reach, especially, because we're a Tacoma-centric festival again, but of course, we're able to reach different areas of the country really with our films. So it's really an honor to be able to have that opportunity.
So, Lindy, how did you get connected with one of the films that we are so proud of called In Between? And you got connected with the writer. Her name is Lisa. How did that go about?
Well, good question. I was honored enough to be asked by a good friend of mine who was at the time working at the film school about a new program that they were starting at the Washington State Correction Center for Women in Gig Harbor, and trying to think of ways to use screenwriting as a tool, a redemptive tool to help people be able to harness their own voices again and see themselves as heroes in their own story. So I started teaching that program in 2019, and Lisa was in my very first class, and I knew right away that she was going to take like a duck to water. She already had kind of a creative writing background, and she just really connected with the power that film can bring to a story. And so she wanted to write about something from her own life and kind of change the story to a what if scenario. What if something had gone a little different in her childhood? Would she have ended up on the path that ultimately led her to prison? And it was a really cathartic tool for her to kind of write this story and be able to create a film that hopefully will help other young people maybe in a similar situation that she found herself in, and that will help change their lives for a positive.
So let's take a look at the trailer from the film.
This is a prepaid phone call from a resident at the Washington Correction Center for Women.
As a young girl, I had a hard time figuring out my identity. I didn't know how to be Black.
We've already reached our quota of ethnic students being bussed up north.
Did you choose this school? No, the school board did.
So what do you think of Seattle so far?
Just still trying to figure out how it all works here. I've never been around so many people that look like us before. When your family is all white.
Why did I choose to tell this story? It took me about 30 years to come to the realization that my identity isn't about being Black or white. My identity is based in who I am in the inside and how I present that person.
That was incredible. Lindy, when did you make the film?
Well, we kind of were working on the writing process all throughout 2019. We were looking at first to kind of do it at the end of 2019, but things weren't lining up. And so I kind of waited a little bit longer, and it seemed that everything was coming together in February of 2020. So we took actually Valentine's weekend. We're just, over 2 years ago that we shot this film. And little did we know that we squeaked in just under the wire, because the pandemic, of course, locked everything down in March. So luckily we had the film in the can, and we were able to do the post-production process basically with our people remotely, everybody working at home.
You say that so seamlessly, but what you're not saying and what I am hearing is it is difficult to keep people's attention when you have to pause because of COVID. We see it all over the networks, where we see 3 episodes and now we're waiting for the other 7 to come out to pick up because of that gap. Luckily, you avoided that. So there was momentum for this very important topic. Emily, what do you hope that viewers and attendees gain from these films and events? And why are they still so important after all these years?
I always go back to film, as Ambrielle was saying, is one of the most powerful ways to tell stories that's been happening for decades. And, and it's morphed into so many different forms. And I think one of the great things about a film festival like Destiny City is someone can kind of get something different from all the different films. If they're looking to be educated, or to just laugh, or to find their favorite genre, or have a conversation like, we're going to have with the event at Tacoma with Lindy. Something for everyone, and you can kind of experience whatever you feel like at that time. So we're hoping folks can find that opportunity, and also learn about someone or a community that they didn't know about prior. And hopefully, as I mentioned, the local shorts again, get to know these folks in our community that are doing this art and telling these stories, and get connected and help support them, because that's one of our main goals.
I think that's a goal that you've accomplished over and over again with this festival. And that's why it is so popular, because it answers that question: does art reflect life, or does life imitate art? So it's an ongoing chase. Lindy, what made you want to release this film with Destiny City Film Festival this year? You could have had your pick. I've seen it. It is incredible. Did you feel a need to have a screening in person to help foster larger conversations around the importance of perhaps art programs in incarcerated populations? Could that have been it?
That is 100% it. We had finished the film kind of in the end of 2020. And so we had the film for a while ready to go. And there were some opportunities to do some virtual screenings. But really, the reason I wanted to make the film was for such a larger purpose. Yes, of course, the film stands on its own, but I really wanted to use it as a tool to start a larger conversation around the importance of programs like these for incarcerated individuals. Because if we as a society want to be ready to welcome them back into society when it's their time, we need to understand each other better. And what better way to communicate than through the power of film, like a language we all understand. So really, it's my goal to try to give a little light on what the situation is around incarcerated individuals and why programs like these are so important.
So we have an event that will show in between. And the event, I believe, is an alma mater. Is that where it's going to be? What a beautiful facility. Yes. So what else can the audience expect, Lindy, when they show up to that beautiful setting to watch this very poignant film?
Yeah, well, I wanted to make sure that we had kind of a really packed program. The film is only 17 minutes long, so I wanted to put a little bit more content into the event. And so we're partnering with Pongo Poetry and Underground Writing, 2 organizations that help incarcerated youth learn writing and poetry. We're gonna have some readings of their poetry at the event. And we're also gonna have a panel discussion with some local leaders in the area, really talking about this issue of programming and these types of programs and their importance for incarcerated individuals, so that people can get a really deep understanding of the work we're trying to do.
Oh, I love that. And I always love it afterwards too, when we can talk with people like you and you can let us crawl inside of you and really get to hear that second narrative that was going on while you were making this. Emily, nobody does this alone. We got to have a full theater of sponsors to make this work. Who are some of your community partners that you'd like to recognize before we say goodbye?
Yeah, absolutely. We couldn't do this without so many people on our team every year that support our vision. Definitely want to thank Tacoma Creates, City of Tacoma Arts Commission, Pacific Northwest Shop, Ice Cream Social, Compass Rose, Sound Credit Union, T-Shirt Men, Doyle's, Print Northwest, and Homelight. And I'd also like to thank our volunteers and board and staff and the filmmakers especially.
And I want to thank all three of you and those that we could not get on this interview today because of limited space and size for bringing this beautiful gift of this festival to our city when we need in-person experiences the most, and also for the message that this film gives. So thank you to all three of you for all that you've done for us.
Yes, I did. Only
I was too gay.
Yeah,
I couldn't do it.
and I was still doing straight.
I think things are looking really, really good and feeling very, very good.
That's right. We're gonna put a drag queen in the White House.
It's the most powerful thing we have that makes us human. That's life, and that's music.